Do you know what's awesome? Space Harrier. Space Harrier is awesome. Released in 1985 and created by world-renowned game designer Yu Suzuki, Space Harrier is a fast, frantic, and insanely fun arcade shooter that, for the time, had groundbreaking graphical effects thanks to Sega's superscalar technology. You play as Harrier, a dude who's flying through the fantasy zone and blowing up anything in his path. Flying rocks, robots, dragons, one-eyed woolly mammoths, more robots, jet fighters, and even flying moa heads. Space Harrier received many home ports, but by far the best home port was for the Sega Saturn.
Get ready!
Ported to the Sega Saturn in 1996, Space Harrier was a part of the Sega Ages collection in Japan. Sega Ages was a series of re-released classic games from Sega's glorious past. The series originally started out as basic ports, then becoming full-on remakes of their classic games in 3D, and then becoming collections of a specific game series with all its different variations. However, these re-released games and collections remained only in Japan. Sega still continues to produce Sega Ages today as downloadable releases in the United States under the Sega Vintage Collection name, and even some of the remade 3D games were ported to the PlayStation 2 in America as Sega Classics Collection. In Japan, Space Harrier was released as its own standalone game for the Sega Saturn. In North America, however, Space Harrier was bundled along with Outrun and Afterburner 2 in a collection for the Sega Saturn, appropriately titled Sega Ages, by Working Designs of all companies. As for this version, it is what it is, an arcade-perfect port of Space Harrier with a few extra features. For instance, the game gives you many different control options to choose from. You can use the standard Sega Saturn controller, the 3D controller for a more authentic analog feel, or the mission stick, which is the definitive way to play. But if all you have is the standard controller, the game plays totally fine. The game also gives you some insane flexibility with tweaking the gameplay options, like changing the difficulty, alter the lives count, and even set the point total for getting extra lives. There's also a time trials mode you can activate and a sound test. All in all, this game is a complete package for Space Harrier enthusiasts, and I can't recommend it highly enough. The Japanese version will cost you upwards of around $20 or more, but if you're looking to get the American version on the Sega Ages collection, be prepared to shell out about $50, as it tends to be on the rare side. There's many different ports of Space Harrier, but if you want the definitive arcade experience, the Saturn port is the way to go.